I'm just being a wild man.
Straight in there. You're just crazy today, Martin.
I just hit that record
That's
button.
crazy. Just straight into the live feed. Okay.
No plan. No plan. You know what? This is we've done not much prep on this, to be fair.
No.
But I think we can both speak from the heart about interruption rage, right?
Yes.
I feel like this is more personal experience and less science.
Yeah.
But hey.
Yeah. Which are generally my favorite podcast when we're just like free, what do we call it?
Free. Well, this is free. I mean, this podcast is free, so there is that. The free form.
To make that point, we don't make anyone pay to listen to us.
No.
Free form? No. Anyway, freestyle.
Freestyle, there we go.
Yeah, freestyling. We're freestyling today a bit.
Good Lord. Yeah, with our combined 8 brain cells that are still functioning.
Yeah. Exactly.
It feels like. All right. And with that, welcome to ADHDville. Almost hit the outro button then.
That would be fun. ADHD. Hello, I'm Paul Thompson. I was diagnosed with combined ADHD some 8 months ago.
And I'm Martin Weston. I was diagnosed with ADHD in 2013.
So we're just two mates who, by coincidence or not, after 39 years of friendship, discovered that we're code ADHDers. Hurrah! Now, it's really important to say right at the top here that this is an entertainment podcast about adult ADHD. It does not substitute for individualized advice from qualified health professionals. So do not take any advice from us. No. We're just kind of here as an all-inclusive ADHD park bench with room for everyone, including your doppelgangers, your alter egos, your body doubles, your chaperones, and your best buddies. Still here? Great. Then grab your jetpacks, pedalos, space hoppers, or any other transportation methods and let us take you to ADHD, an imaginary town that we've created in our minds, where we like to explore different parts of ADHD.
Good Lord, yes, we do.
Yes.
And we start off, as always, at the town hall in the mayor's office, where we, the joint mayors of ADHDville, take care of business. And looking at the agenda, we have 2 things on the agenda. One is we're going to be talking about interruption rage. And the second is we have a random quiz.
Yes, we have a total random quiz.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we can just...
It's random because it's got nothing to do with interruption or rage. Although Martin might go into a rage if he performs as badly as he did in the last quiz.
Oh, God, yeah. Well,
you got all 3 wrong.
I did.
Dog breeds.
I did. Right. But that may not necessarily... Yeah, on the dogs breeds... On the Dogs Breeds episode, because that may not necessarily be
might not be the last one. Yeah, because we slipped it in there.
Because we record this in an odd way, and they go out in an odd way.
Yes, we do. Yeah, which creates mayhem because it's hard to decide when something's gone in or going out or. So our list of future episodes. It's like got color coding all over it. For like what's been recorded, what needs to be recorded, what's been uploaded, what hasn't. Yeah.
Color coding is key. All right. Well, let's jump in. Actually, no, we aren't going to jump in the mayor's car this time because we're going to go down into the bunker. down into the bunker. Yeah, because in interruption rage, I think if we are gonna rage, then we should do it out of public. We should go down into the town hall bunker and talk about it there.
Exactly.
All right, so let's just make our way over to the elevator, and let's go down. Yeah, traveling down.
Nice, good chunk. Have you been watching the Ripley series on Netflix? A new series of Ripley.
No.
It's outstanding. There's a really good lifts in it.
All right.
There's a nice lift, like old-fashioned lift thing in it.
Oh, here we go. All right, we're here.
Loving that.
Someone should
that sounds
oil
good.
that door.
Yeah, or not.
Right. Interruption rage. So, you know what? We were talking off air. That sounds such a wanky expression. Off air, off pod.
In the green room.
Right. It's not always easy to kind of know when to interrupt the other person or whether to hold back, and sometimes you jump in and the other person will jump in and they're jumping over each other, which which causes its own little chaos. But we don't get angry about it. But in real life, sometimes.
But maybe because when you're interrupting between ADHDers, is somehow different.
Maybe
because you kind of because you deep down you understand, you know what each other's like. You think, oh yeah,
right.
Yeah, I think so.
So let's start off with what is interruption rage, because we like to at least define what we're talking about here. Yeah. So I'm just reading one off of the ADHDknowledgehub.com because I felt like it was fairly typical, which is to say that interruption rage is a state of heightened frustration and anger triggered by unexpected disruptions during focused tasks. So, for example, imagine driving at high speed and suddenly hitting the brakes. The abrupt halt is jarring. For individuals with ADHD, minor interruptions can evoke a similar emotional jolt.
Yeah. Discuss.
Well,
discuss.
For me, it's generally when I'm hyper focused on something. One, or I've managed to get into a flow of doing something that I really don't want to do. So, say for example, I'm doing some paperwork and some bureaucracy that I hate, and it's taking me 2 hours to get into the mental state of even just being able to do it.
Yeah,
and then you're half a page in, and then you get interrupted, and then I'm annoyed because it's taken me a long time to get into that mental state to do this thing.
Right. So what you're saying is, especially when it's a task you don't really want to be doing.
Especially because if I'm doing a task that I really like, it's annoying, but because I like it, the dopamine is there and I can go back to it. Well, I can anyway.
I can stay if something I enjoy doing is something I find stimulating. It's quite easy for me to refine the kind of the thread of that. If I'm interrupted, that's not a problem.
You can get back in the groove, Jackson, for sure. I mean, it's the stuff that I struggle with. That if I get interrupted with, it's like I want to stab people.
Okay,
I get stabby.
At
least in my head, I mean,
Right.
if you're looking at me from the outside, I might look fairly calm and like nothing much
Right.
is ruffling my
Which
feathers. But inside, I'm mentally stabbing
which in
them.
most countries could get you into trouble. I say most countries because in Turkey you can stab someone below the buttocks, and
come on.
yeah, you can.
Below the buttocks
Yeah, I
in
think I don't
Turkey.
think it's still the law, but
All right.
there was a thing where you could stab someone below the buttocks and get away with it. You could potentially, it was a misdemeanor.
Right. Okay. Well, don't take legal advice from this podcast. Just saying.
No, no, especially not Turkish legal advice.
Oh, good lord. Right. I mean, common triggers for interruption rage would be for me would be anything from like if my phone rings, if someone comes in and starts talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, anything that
Okay.
just that takes my
I've
brain
got an
away.
example here because for people that don't know, I live in Italy. So if I'm having to explain something in Italian that is quite difficult or is quite boring but needs to be said, and it's taken me a lot of effort to actually get that out in a kind of you know anywhere resembling a decent Italian, a kind of sentence construction, and someone interrupts me, I
Mm-hmm.
will I would get really angry. I get really
Mm-hmm.
annoyed. Even I had this problem last week with my girlfriend. I got angry because I said to her, "Look, you're speaking your mother tongue, your first language. For me, if you interrupt me, I mean, I'll say literally, I've already forgotten what I was supposed to say as I'm saying this, as I'm telling you how angry I am that I was interrupted. And yeah, but it's not her fault. It's not her fault at all. But I tried to explain to her, like, it's really difficult for me to kind of, get back into the saddle of like understand what I wanted to say if I've been interrupted.
Yeah.
It's really difficult.
Yeah. Because I think, like as you were saying at the, earlier on, if you've got ADHD and someone with ADHD interrupts you, yeah, I agree. It's like you kind of feel like you both understand it better, so
Yeah.
you're kind of it's a little bit less,
Kindred spirits.
of
And
a
it's a bit more
thing.
playful, I think. I think generally communication between ADHDs is generally quite playful. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're in the same sandpit together,
Right.
so it's all okay.
Well, yeah, I would say it's more understandable. I wouldn't say I felt like it was okay. So, for example, I've just been talking a lot with someone who I believe is on the spectrum, and then I'll talk, and then they'll just
Mm.
interrupt and just talk right over me,
Mm-hmm.
which I used to would really annoy me about this person, but
Right.
now that I've kind of gone, no, hang on a second, they're on the spectrum. Like,
Mm.
and then as soon as I kind of like realize that, then
Yeah.
now they'll interrupt me, and now I kind of go, oh yeah, this is just them being on the specky, and they're just like,
Right.
you know,
Okay.
and they don't
Mm.
realize it.
Well,
Whereas
I did. Yeah.
whereas I would think that's the thing, is that I almost feel like if someone interrupts you, and they do realize that they're interrupting you, i.e.,
Mm.
they're like typically neurotypical, say for example, then
Mm.
you feel like that they've just completely disqualified anything that you've previously said, right?
Right.
And said, no,
Mm.
you're wrong.
Yeah.
Whatever you're saying
Mm.
isn't good. I that my opinion is so
Mm-hmm.
much better than
Right.
yours, and I will interrupt you,
Yeah.
and I will place you down. I will push
Mm-hmm.
you down, and
Mm-hmm.
and that makes me
Yeah.
that's the thing that makes me feel angry, I guess.
A lot of the times, one thing I've divulged in on this discussion is that a lot of the times, if ADHDers interrupt you or other, whether it's within the ADHD community or otherwise, often they're interrupted not because they're being rude or arrogant or anything. Often it's because they're just really enthusiastic, and you just want to get it out what you've got in your head. I can relate to that because when we started the podcast, I'd literally just been diagnosed with ADHD, and a friend of mine said she listened to the first couple of our podcasts. She said, "Paul, do you realise you constantly interrupting Martin?" And I said, "Yeah, I know. I kind of listened to the first two podcasts, and I was doing it, and we had that conversation, didn't we?" And I apologized to you, but to being fair to myself, I was like a kid with a new shiny toy. It's like, yeah, I would just wanted to like talk about it and talk about it and talk about it,
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure. And like, I think if you flip it around for the other person, say a neurotypical or a partner or something of someone, they can kind of get like, that phrase, walking on eggshells,
yeah,
which I hear a fair amount, where the other person feels like they're walking on eggshells because they don't necessarily recognize when you're hyper focused on something or in that ADHD state, and they won't recognize it, and then they'll interrupt you, and then you turn around and kind of go, God, what do I just, you have this kind of like seemingly out this disproportionate emotional outburst, and then they're like walking on eggshells. Like, I don't know, I don't really want to talk to him because he's like, who knows what the fuck's gonna happen if I say anything, and then that becomes a problem.
Yeah,
for both of you at that point, because they'll just stop communicating and just not annoy you.
Yeah. I've had this bit of this kind of problem with my girlfriend because my girlfriend, she speaks very, very, very little English, and so I think sometimes she said, "Paul, do you realise do you interrupt me quite a lot?" And I think I often do that because if the phrase comes to mind about what I want to say, if it comes to mind in Italian, it seems like I need to get it out of my mouth as soon as possible. As soon as possible, otherwise I'll forget it.
Right. And that, actually, you know what? That may well just apply to. Doesn't even necessarily have to be if you're speaking in a second language. Like sometimes, totally. if you have ADHD, like you'll have a thought, and then it will only stay in your brain for like for a couple of seconds before it evaporates away, and you're like,
exactly. There's one other thing. It's another thing that's very cultural. There are certain places like southern Italy, and I've heard that in Brazil it's the same. In Brazil, people talk over each other a lot, like it's a national sport. And it drives me insane. No one ever lets you finish a sentence in southern Italy. And it really, really, it just really frustrating. But yeah, as I say, someone told me it's the same in Brazil. Exactly the same. People talk over each other a lot.
Oh God, that'd be a nightmare.
Yeah. And I used to say to people, look, I get it. Look, I get it that it's a southern Italy thing. And you should say, you're probably thinking, oh, Paul, you should just adapt. And I said, well, I could adapt and just like talk over people like everyone else. But for me, that's not how I enjoy having a conversation.
Right.
That people get out what they want to get out, and you respond to it, and you have hopefully a stimulating conversation. Not that you only get like ever get half what you want to say ever gets out at any one point.
Yeah. So I think communication is key, right? There's like, I think because I think if your romantic interest or family members or wherever it is, people, if they don't understand you and your issues, for example, then it can just seem random and arbitrary, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if it's like, right, well, I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be hyper focusing on this task now, for a while. That means that should mean only interrupt me if it's really important. House is on fire.
Yeah.
There's a million zombie squirrels coming over the hills.
Yeah.
Like something important.
Zombie squirrel. But how does it show up for you? Do you get, if you're like hyper focused and you're interrupted, do you go into a rage?
Internally, yes.
Internally, okay.
And then externally, it comes out as me being knocked, or I'm short, or I'm,
Snippy.
I'm just like, what, what do you, yeah. Whereas inside, as I've said, I'm busy crushing people's skulls with rocks,
Stabbing.
sort of like, yeah. Inside, yes, but outside, I just look annoyed.
Yeah. Well, I did give you. We were talking about this episode last week. I did give you an example of when we were working together, and a colleague of ours who should rename nameless, Russ Seaton. He once we had carpet down in the agency, and he decided that he would shuffle from his office into our office, shuffle all his feet until he built up on as much static as possible. Came up behind me, and I was like hyper concentrated on something, and he touched my earlobe with his finger and gave me an electric shock through my ear. And within a nanosecond, I turned around. And bear in mind, Russ, bless him, 6'5", 6'5", and I just was in a rage, and he was not expecting it at all. But yeah, it wasn't. It was kind of being shocked, but also just being a kind of a mixture. Also, just being interrupted, really, what I thought was completely unnecessarily, clearly in a work environment. But
God, yeah.
But yeah. I was not happy. I was not happy at all.
Yeah, right, exactly. I think, one thing that is important is, as I was saying, is that, like this kind of like whether it's like a verbal do not disturb sign or an actual do not disturb sign, or being able to kind of signal when you're like, well, I know I'm going to be in this state, in this hyper focused state. So, or I know I'm going to be doing this task that is going to take me a while to get into the headspace of, and being able to kind of communicate that. That's really important. Plus, also it can't all be one way, right? This is what I find about ADHD advice sometimes. It all appears to be too much one way, i.e., it's the ADHD person saying, right, I need you to change your world, you're a typical person, for you, right? Which I totally get and I totally advocate for.
Yeah.
But also there has to be like a sort of a bit of give and take. So if that other person, so I think there's something called like gentle reminders, right? Which is right. If I did want to talk to you, how should I do it? So one way that I like is if someone texts me, if my wife texts me from the other room rather than shouting at me, right? I prefer the text, right? Because that's more of a gentle.
Yeah.
It's a little gentle communication thing that I can see. It doesn't. It interrupts me, but in a way that is a little bit more,
Right.
softer, right?
Then that's the thing, isn't it? So then you get into like it's how you're interrupted. If I'm interrupted because there's a telephone call, um, because I don't like talking on the phone, that would be really irritating to me
Right.
because I've
Yep.
got
Yep. Yep.
I have virtually a phobia with phones. I really don't like talking on the phone.
I can
So
understand.
if I'm meant to buy a phone, yeah, that'll it's not good. It's not a good thing. It's not a good look.
No. 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 Exactly. Also, the other person has to be able to pull you out of whatever rabbit hole you're going down, right? So I have more than a million more than a million occasions have kind of gone, right, well, I'm going to spend an hour on this particular task, this little thing, right? And then about an hour and a half later, I am still doing that thing because I'm hyper focused on it, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm getting a lot of dopamine from it. And then the other person, my wife in this case, like that, I have to allow a way for that person to pull me out of what I'm doing because I'm
Right.
already spending way too much time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's other shit to do. I can't just
Mm-hmm.
spend up half a day on some little fun little project. That I've got other things to do. So, like I have to allow them to kind of knock on the door, go, hey, all right, Martin, okay, well, we've
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
some other stuff to do,
Mm.
so I need you to kind of like wind this up. When can you kind of get onto this other thing?
Yeah.
And even
That's
though I'll be annoyed, I have to allow it. You have to allow that.
yeah. Yeah. That's where headphones are really good because I mean this is a phenomenon when this is a recent phenomenon with COVID and everything. A lot more people working from home. Headphones are a great way of saying, "Look, I know I'm working from home, but I'm actually doing work." And headphones are a great way of saying, "Look, you basically have to like imagine to your partner or whoever is living with you, say, look, you have to basically imagine as if I'm in the office and I shouldn't be interrupted, because otherwise they've got no visual cues to when they can interrupt you.
Mm-hmm.
The headphones are a really good way of doing that.
Yeah, yeah, that's that's true. Um, I think the other thing to remember is for everyone is that it's not personal.
Mm.
That kind of like rage that you feel is an internal storm created by your ADHD, hyperfocus being
Yeah.
interrupted. I'm not actually annoyed at the other person because when I think about it logically,
That's a fair
afterwards, it's
point.
like, okay, well, yeah, there's plenty of reasons why that person would need to interrupt me. It's me that
Yeah.
it's all this kind of stuff in me. It isn't
Yeah.
really them
It's not about
usually.
you, it's me.
And it's not you, it's me.
It's
I
not
know,
you, it's
right?
me. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good point. Well put.
Have
Um,
Have you
yeah.
found mindfulness techniques to be of any use? FYI,
Generally,
I'm just looking. It says practicing mindfulness can promote a greater awareness of one's reactions to interruptions. Techniques such as meditation and yoga can be immensely beneficial.
yeah.
Because I know that
I
you did yoga for a bit, right?
I did Bikram yoga, yeah, which is hot yoga it's like 42 degrees. I did Ashtanga as well. I was as fit as a fiddler's elbow,
Wow.
or as fit as a butcher's dog.
And how did you find
Um,
that?
I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. Um, because it's not really it is meditation because you are controlling your breathing, which actually was the aspect of yoga that I struggled with the most, was the breathing element of it.
Right.
Not to the point of,
I was gonna say
asphyxiation or
dying.
anything.
It was just more like out, 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 out. Oh, in. Oh, Christ, I
In.
forgot the in. I
Yes. I
forgot the
never really
in.
got the and in and out. I was more like, and then
Right.
fainting. Yeah.
And
Uh,
fainting.
um,
Oh,
I like the idea. I did try meditation once. Um, I like the idea of it. And I could see that I could get into it. Have you ever tried it?
oh yeah, many times. I
Have you?
think I think I was very anti it for quite a long time because
Mm,
I had this image that it was like you sitting cross-legged with with a bunch of incense burning, and you're kind of like omming, and
yeah,
and
and
it was
R-ing.
all very like yeah. But actually, once I realised that you could actually meditate on the train in a busy platform in a hectic
Mm,
in environment with a
yeah,
lot going on. I was like, oh, okay, it's not quite as zenny
yeah.
as I thought it was. It really is just like, um, but yeah, concentrating on your bathing and
Mm,
and you can just kind of go, yeah, let me just check in with my arms and my legs and my head and me. I'll just like
yeah.
just it's just kind of like it is how I tend to use it when I'm doing something particularly stressful. So on the way to a job interview, I would
Mm,
do it typically,
okay.
so that I would just kind of calm myself back down again.
Okay.
So
Uh-huh.
that's where I would do it normally when there was like
Okay.
something nuts going on.
I once tried Gregorian chant on the way to on the way to an interview. Yeah, literally in a London cab,
Out loud.
out loud, and with the cab driver looking back, see what kind of idiot have I got in the back of weird guy in the back of my cab?
Yeah, you're
It's
doing
because
some. You just
Stephen Fry once suggested trying it. If you ever got public speaking to do or an interview or something, and you've got like, in my case, I was going to present my portfolio to it was for a quite an important job in Covent Garden actually, and he suggested rehearsing your interview in Gregorian chant.
no blimey.
So I did that, and it really works.
I had heard that humming is good for and then I forget the next bit, but I think even just kind of humming. So Gregorian chant is quite hummy, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah,
like
yeah, mm,
umiyani. It's
yeah.
I think it's actually quite
He
physically good.
he uses it because it stops him when he's public speaking. It stops him from umming and ahhing between
Oh, okay.
sentences. So, thank you for coming to this presentation. And he said, if you,
Well done, well done.
thank you very much, thank you very much. And it apparently really it helped me. I found it actually ummed and ahed a lot less. There you go. Little chat about Gregorian chant.
I will try and remember that. I
Yeah, it
will try
works.
and remember that.
Yeah,
All right. Um,
in a black cab if you want to or not.
exactly.
Okay.
Interesting thing here. All right. So I think for me at least, if I'm gonna start concluding, is
Mm.
that is that is that interruption rage does require a bit of a multifaceted a multifaceted approach. Like part of it is going to be communicating outwards
Hmm.
about what your needs are.
Mm.
Whether you need total peace or how you want to be communicated with in a softer way, or and then laying down those ground rules. Also, you yourself have to be more open to being able to allow people to interrupt.
Yeah. Or getting better at least saying, if it's something you find hard to control, just get better at saying, I find it really difficult to control. At least be open and honest about it.
Right. And that it's not personal. It's this
Yeah.
kind of weird facet of ADHD that just seems to really not be that helpful.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Good.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, shall we take we'll get the elevator back up. And then we'll do the quiz up in the mayor's office.
Yes.
All right, just
let's go up there.
Shuffle over to the elevator. Press the button.
Yes, getting a bit humid down here in the bunker.
There we go. Back on the way up.
Back on the way up. Oh, it's a bit of daylight. It's always good.
Yeah, I know. It's always a bit weird going down, but I, as you say, I quite like not using the car all the time. Just going down in the elevator.
Exactly.
Oh, this is us. All right.
Clunking away, reassuringly clunky.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Well, we like a quiz. We did promise a quiz,
and we've got one
in the last one that we recorded, which was the dogs episode, which would be quite a while ago. Episode 26, I think, off the top of my head. I did really badly, so I'm hoping
let's see how you do this time.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So it's got nothing to do with. It's totally off theme, obviously, and it's just all it is you have to pick out usual format, Martin. You have to pick out the fly in the ointment. Or how could I put it another way? The fly in the ointment, or the odd one out. Okay.
Oh, I see. The odd one out.
So, odd one out. I'm going to give you. I've got 3 different lists here. Okay. Each have 5 answers. One of them is the wrong answer. Okay. To the theme of on this day in history.
Okay. On this
now,
day in history.
As we're recording this on the 10th of April. Okay.
Yeah.
So bearing that in mind. Okay. Mm-hmm. So which of these things didn't happen?
Okay.
On the 10th of April.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So in the year 1837 AD.
I remember it
right?
Well.
Let's start back then. Back. The Halley's Comet approaches. What was actually most people think was really close to Earth, but it was actually 3.2 million miles away from Earth, but still close enough for cosmologists to say, "Oh, holy crap!
What the hell's that?"
Okay,
in the sky?
So is that?
Yeah.
So is that? Or on a lighter note, in 1825, the first hotel in Hawaii opened. Okay.
1825. Okay.
Yeah, 1825. 1815, Austria declares war on the Kingdom of Naples.
Good Lord.
Bizarre, isn't it? Okay. Yeah. 1878, the California Street Cable Car Railroad Company starts service. So the first cable car in San Francisco started on this day in 1878. We've got the last one, Martin.
Right.
Okay, we've got the last one. You've got to choose from A, B, C, D, or E. Okay. One of these things did not happen. Okay, on this day in history. Okay. 1953, the first ever color 3D movie called The House of Wax premiered in New York.
Okay. 1953.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
1953. Next. 1877, A 14-year-old girl performed the first human cannonball in London. A 14-year-old girl performed the first human cannonball in London. That's London, England, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it C, Martin? 1849, Walter Hunt patented the safety pin. Walter Hunt patented the safety pin. Or is it a law ended in the UK whereby all beached whales and sturgeons in the UK must be offered to the reigning monarch according to a decree that started in 1322. Okay, all right? Or is it E? In 1956, Philips broadcasted the first Dutch colour TV programs. 1956, first Dutch colour TV.
Okay, why Dutch? Okay, all right. Okay. All right. So, all right. Which one of these
are those random enough for you, Martin? Those
fucking hell. This is so random. There's not even. It's not even as if you've manipulated the date, the year, so that would give me a hint. It's like
no.
It's not like you win 1856 for the TV program. I go, oh, hang on a second, 1856.
Right, yeah.
That's the wrong year. That's like too early.
Yeah, that'd be way too easy. That'd be.
All right, so this is down to which one do I think you would find amusing to put into a quiz? Is it the 3D thing, the human cannibal girl, which you did repeat twice, so that did make me think you were especially
because I like the sound of it. I just said it twice because I like the sound of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that you like the sound of it, so that
I was putting emphasis on it.
Yes, you were putting emphasis on it, which is why I think I'm going with that answer.
Well, you're wrong.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, it's the last one, mate. It's not true that in 2003, the UK law ended whereby all beached whales and sturgeons in the UK had to be offered to the reigning monarch, according to decree from 1932, because it's still law.
Oh, blimey.
It's still law. If a whale or a sturgeon beaches in the UK, it has to be offered to the monarchy.
That's crazy.
They get first rights to eat it.
What's the king
or whatever
gonna do with
a sturgeon
fucking
or a whale? Well, sturgeon's easier, isn't it? You can make caviar.
Oh right, yeah, just squeeze it out onto a little wafer.
Wafer. Okay. Well.
All right. Well, yeah. I will say I'm just looking for the ending. All right. Well, okay. So, cool. All right. Well, that just takes us to the ending. God, this is such like an awkward end. Oh. All right.
Are you tired? It's exhausting.
No, it's just because we had that technical hitch, that the whole flow kind of went. All right. Well, it just remains for me to say that ADHDville is delivered fresh every Tuesday to fine purveyors of podcasts. Please subscribe to our pod and rate us and leave a comment. It's actually really important.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And but wait, there's more. If you want to see our beautiful faces, then sally forth to the YouTube.
Or Sally Fields.
And you can pick up a quill and email us at adhdville@gmail.com. Goes to find the outro button. There it is.
Outro.
So visit us on TikTok. Go see us on TikTok because it's a
we have
whole
a lot
other
of fun.
world over there.
There is.
A lot of fun over there. Yeah, there's some stuff on the Cupboard of Friends Facebook and Instagram. But in the meantime, be fucking kind to yourself.
And I beseech you, fellow ADHDers, know thyselves, sons of the hounds, come hither and get the flesh.
Indeed.
He said with a slightly more important voice, for no reason.
There, says the mayor. That's that.